Today, we introduce ourselves and talk about what exactly we will be discussing throughout the podcast. Just like any other kind of content, it will evolve over time as we continue to explore and discuss our parallel experiences consuming media. Robin and I have been best friends since our first year of university, nearly 20 years ago. Throughout our university years, we attended many films, whether through the free access at the theater I worked at, our friend Alex's disturbed cinema viewings of highly uncomfortable movies at the NASCAD film campus, or one of our massive movie marathons where we would scour video difference for a handful of movies to watch in a crowded rooms on a very regular basis. We certainly don't know it all, but we do know it's some. So enjoy the banter between two friends who like talking about horrible things. This is Horrible Friends with your host, me, Brandy, owner and operator of Twisted Bunny Fine Arts and Illustration, and organizer behind Halifax Horror Fest conventions, and my co-host Robin, a blacksmith, leatherworker, and survivalist. Together we are going to discuss horrible things, because we are horrible friends. This will range from movies to comics to shows to art itself, and etc. While we do our best to maintain a regular flow of conversation, there will likely be spoilers in the content. So please be aware that if you are interested in watching the things we are talking about, you may find things out that you don't want to. Welcome to Horrible Friends.
Welcome.
Okay, so today I guess we're just going to talk about stuff that we're going to talk about. I know I have a lot of, I'm a big horror buff. I know that I love my horror movies and I love my horror paraphernalia and I love to dissect and analyze everything I watch and consume. And I know you're more into like sci-fi fantasy, right?
Yeah, that's generally more my thing. I feel like even when it comes to horror movies, when it comes to things that I really like, I still scare myself even when it's not scary. It's the kind of thing that, especially like, anything with bugs or anything like that, that really gets to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
we have different tastes and stuff, but I tend to get scared over things that are not necessarily that scary too.
You know, the scariest stuff I ever watched. I don't know why or what the fuck. It's always paranormal shit, ghosts and stuff. Like that scares me more than anything.
Yeah, I guess. It's like this thought that like, I don't know, something that you can't touch can touch you back.
It's like this weird ethereal fear that I have because it feels like it could totally be real, even though that's
Yeah,
clearly not.
no. It's funny you mention that. So okay, so this is a good disconnect between us because you are afraid of the really like the ethereal stuff. For me, it's either psychological horror, the idea of like losing my mind and something horrible happening as a result,
Hmm.
or some kind of like practical situation, like like falling into the water and a shark attacking me, which
Yeah.
is actually something I'll probably bring up later because that was one of my biggest traumas as a kid from movies.
Yeah.
I'm talking,
Yeah.
of course, about Jaws. That's definitely one that got me.
Yeah. I don't know what it might have been the Nightmare on Elm Street scene. It didn't traumatize me necessarily, but on top of almost drowning several times as a kid, any movie where people are pulled underwater, anything where there's a lot of open ocean, things like that, it's just like terrifying to me. But there was this one scene in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie where Nancy gets pulled through the bottom of the tub, and she's like fighting for her life
Yeah,
to get
it's
back
pretty.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Oh, I can't watch it. I hold my breath the whole time.
Well, it's weird. So okay, so I definitely have. I don't want to. I don't know if I have thalassophobia, but I definitely one of those things that just terrifies me endlessly. And I still have. I'm terrified of all water, deep and shallow. And
Yeah.
I think it definitely comes from that.
Well, that the whole unknown in the ocean and the abyss and all that fun stuff. Speaking of which, the abyss is something I have to watch again soon. It's a
Oh
good
yeah,
movie.
I've seen the Abyss, but it's one of those ones that I can't remember. I need to go. Not That's not an indictment of the movie on my
Yeah,
part, by the way. I just have a really bad.
yeah, that's all
Um,
right. I know I've watched way more movies than I can imagine. I just can't think of like fucking any of them. I like all movies, right? Horror is my favorite. I started
yeah.
making movie lists because I tried to start this podcast 5 years ago, right? So I had made a huge number of lists for favorite directors and favorite movies, and then I realized that it was just going to go on for eternity, and I was never going to be able to keep it all in my head, and I'd have to reference these lists constantly. So I figured I would just let it be a natural flow,
That's
although
fair.
having a list isn't terrible.
I was just dicking around with you, but yeah, no,
I know,
that's a good. That is a very good point.
but I really did make a list.
Yeah. I believe you.
And I'm always wrong. I'm like, these are my top favorite horror movies. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, I like this one too. And then it's like constantly changing. And obviously, The Thing is my favorite all around for any type of movie.
Oh God, yeah, the thing is 100%.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece of horror. I agree. I 100% agree. And you know, it's weird. I do get like I'm weird around body horror,
Hmm.
but the body horror in the thing wasn't what did it for me. It was, as I said earlier, it was the psychological horror of the thing, which is what
Yeah,
that movie
never
does.
knowing. You don't even know if you're the thing or not. Yeah, it's pretty
No,
cool.
exactly.
Well, you might, but you're good at pretending. Yeah, I remember playing UMS, StarCraft. Do you ever do that?
Oh God, yes, of course.
So I played the thing a lot. And that was basically like you and a bunch of other I can't remember what they're the fire dudes, the guys that always say give me a light or need a light.
Oh yeah,
So you're a bunch of
yeah,
those guys and you're walking around trying to figure out who's the thing, right? And oh
yeah.
my God, it's like it was so
Terrifying.
good.
I mean, you kind of psych each other out, which is great. I
Yeah.
love that.
That
So
interactive, yeah, that's
yeah,
it's funny. It sucks 'cause I like video games, but you know me, I can't play them because I'll just hyperfixate on them and like not eat for a week.
yeah, I
And
know what you
yeah, and I like horror games, but I know that I would just scream constantly.
Okay, here's you know what I really like with horror games, and this is gonna make me sound like such a massive loser. I don't play them as often as I would like, but I have picked up the habit of watching
Oh
playthroughs of
yeah.
them.
I
I've really
like
loved
I
it.
go on Twitch and I love it's like the back rooms. Oh, I love watching people play that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even the old school. Oh man, the one that was about the Slender Man that I can't remember what it was called. Where you have to pick up the pages.
Oh,
That one was. I mean, it wasn't even terrifying. It was, predictable because it was
yeah. Well, the whole game
Slender
is
Man.
you running from him in the woods or something, right? And you can't turn
Yeah, yeah, of course.
around and yeah.
I mean, even that. I mean, honestly, like when we watched The Nun, I had my eyes closed,
I
and that movie
remember
was.
that, you and Deborah.
Yeah, I was. And even that, like, I'm capable of recognizing that, like, that's not a masterpiece of horror cinema in any way, but it's
But the
still
jump
like
scares were jumpy.
scares still get me. I mean, they always still get me.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And had dude from what the hell was that called? Stigmata in it. Yeah.
Oh, he was great. I mean, it was one of those things where like some people were good and compelling, and the story was just, it was what it was, kind of
I
thing.
mean, if anyone was like, "Hey, what kind of cool movie that you watched in the last 10 years was great?" The Nun isn't making the list for me.
No, 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 no. But
Not
I
even
still,
if you say specifically say horror films I've seen in the
no, I
last
agree.
10
I agree.
years.
But I still watched it with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
That's
I do close my eyes when I watch certain movies, but it's because I have that mirror synesthesia. So like if some kind
yes.
of horrible thing is happening, like someone's getting their legs broken or whatever, I can't watch it because I will not be able to like keep the willies away.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
if
I
I
get it.
see it happening, like knowing it's happening, I can handle, but
Yeah.
sometimes seeing it happening, I can't deal with. Like certain things people do in movies where it's like their eyeballs or whatever, like I just can't watch that kind of stuff because I'm like, oh God, I just can't not feel it happening to me.
No,
So,
well, that's a good point because I was going to bring that up, which is that the things that anything that's sort of like I can distance myself from, like again, body horror when it comes to the thing, it's not you, it's the thing that's morphing into this weird thing.
yeah.
Anything I can picture happening to me is
Yeah.
the kind of thing that I have to like that stays with me for years, and I have to lock away in a mental vault so I don't think of it when I'm trying to sleep.
Yep.
That's the stuff that like you said,
Well,
I knees is a big one for me. Knees,
yeah.
anything
Oh
with
my,
knees.
yeah, knees, wrists, elbows. Ugh. Anyway, the joints in a body, like I just thinking about
Yeah.
that stuff, especially where like I'm already fairly physically compromised, so thinking about that stuff happening is like difficult to process.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't stick with me. It's only like that in the moment that I'm watching it, but it can still be a lot. Like plus, like I said, when I see people underwater, I hold my breath. And when I see oh whatever, my brain just leaked out of my ears like usual.
I was gonna say that I had a so when I was a kid, my favorite movie and probably still is to this day is very old. It was made in 19. I think it was like 19. It might have been the 80, like 86 or 90. It was some time around that period of movie making, and is kind of derailing the conversation because it's not horror, but it was the movie 13th Warrior. Still just an amazing movie.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of a lot of obvious problems with it, but it's a great movie. There's a scene where they have to go under the water and hold their breath, and my thing
Hmm.
was always I have to hold my breath while I'm watching that scene. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Like I sucked myself into doing it. It was a weird thing
Like,
as a kid.
there's this, my cousin, he was like, "Oh, Brandy, you got to do this cave exploring thing. You only have to go underwater for 3 minutes." And I'm like, absolutely not. In the dark. Okay. He's like, "There'll be a guide there." I'm like, "Doesn't matter. They'll be carrying my dead corpse."
He's not a K. He's not a guide. He's a pallbearer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm
I will.
small. I only
You
need
know,
one.
well, so so again, I was talking about thalassophobia. I've gone diving, and it wasn't because I don't have thalassophobia. It's because it was in response to having thalassophobia almost that
Yeah.
got me to do it. But and I would happily do it again. It's terrifying, but it's like fun terrifying. But I will never, ever. And I apologize to any cave divers or splunkers out there. I will never. I can't even watch cave diving content
Yeah.
on YouTube or on the. I just that is one of the things that just completely messes me up. Like the idea of getting stuck in a cave and how many times it's happened, and like oh no 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 thank you. That's horror for me right there.
Yep. It's too I don't know, there's just something about it. You just feel so helpless. Like what are you gonna do,
It
you
was
know?
interesting. It actually that brings up something from a movie that I saw. I can't remember what movie. It might have been. I think it was something with like maybe Paul Bettany in it that came out in the 90s. Was it Screamers? I don't remember. There was this. It was a movie. I swear to God, I'll look it up someday and maybe bring it up on another episode. But there was a movie I saw where the cool 90s post-apocalyptic action hero whatever is captured by the weird bad guy, and the guy's torture method, his torture method was to take his enemies, he had this weird long entrance to like a pipe, and he would put you in it and he would send you flying down this pipe, and it narrows and narrows and narrows and narrows until you get to the end of it.
No.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Sorry for making you deaf.
that's all right. That's fair. You've been screaming since the beginning of the podcast. It's fine.
I know.
Um,
Since the beginning of setup.
sorry that I just traumatized the entire room. I apologize.
Ah. I know I had something I wanted to talk about today too. I think about like, so one thing I hate about horror movies is I hate the torture stuff. So like
Yeah,
one movie that I don't even consider it part of the horror genre. I just think it's like somebody trying to get the rocks off by making a movie is Hostel. I know that that's pretty
yeah,
that's kind of like a bad opinion, like because people should be able to create things and have it still be considered art, but I don't know,
yeah.
like that kind of stuff is just too gross to me. And dude, puke is not something I'm cool with.
No, yeah, I agree.
And that one scene in the beginning where he pukes with like a ball gag in his mouth already, I was like, I'm done with
Oh
this
God,
movie.
yeah, no,
And it was like at the beginning.
yeah. I don't know if you've seen the whole thing. I also can't. I've not seen the entire movie, so
Yeah, like I got
maybe it
over
goes.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not seen it. Maybe the rest of it. I
Um,
think it was a different scene. I think it was a different scene. Like that one got to
they're
me, but I
all
think it was a
horrible.
different scene. Yeah, I'm not a big tour. And again, I don't want to criticize anyone who is into that. It's you feel what you feel when you consume art of different types. So I don't want to like make anyone feel like I don't value their
Well, opinions are
enjoyment.
opinions. I mean, if you don't like those
But
movies, other people are allowed
yeah,
to. So we're talking about things that kind of make us hold our breath and move around in our seats a little.
yeah,
Oh, the Hostel, right. The other
yeah.
one that really I'm not a big fan of, that a lot of people like fucking love the franchise, and I get it. Actually, my friend Joe made me go see these movies every single time they came out because I got him in for free.
Are you talking
Asshole.
about Saw? Are you gonna talk about Saw?
Yes, I'm
Oh
talking
God,
about
yeah.
Saw. Oh, you,
I haven't.
yeah, it's fine. I actually did watch like probably four of them, like fully, but after the
You're not
fourth
the
one, I
spoiler.
just didn't pay attention anymore. I just went for Joe.
It's the kind of thing that I also, for me, you know what it is for me? It's not so much that I think it's bad, because I don't. And I don't want to give the impression that I'm like rating these movies on a scale of like, oh, good to bad. But
Well, it's your
the thing
personal opinion, that which is totally
Yeah,
valid.
but the thing that puts me off usually from a movie or a franchise is when I start watching it and I kind of like I'm still scared of the goriness, but I just get bored.
Well,
You
especially when
know, I
it's
get
like
bored.
over and over again, and it's just like rubbing the same wound.
It's not that it's not creative; it's just creative in a direction that I don't find interesting
Yeah.
personally.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. It's like they tried to be creative, but then still remained lazy with it. It's like, okay.
yeah. Like I again, things that scare me tend to be more on the, like I said, practical or psychological. Right? You talked about. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You talked about the scene in where that character's pulled underneath the water, and
Yeah.
that got. Do you know what really got to me?
What?
Uh, Scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre where he literally pulls that girl through the screen door.
Yeah.
It was nothing. It was like a little 5 second nothing, but that
Hmm.
stuck with me for a long time.
It's funny that you say that because that's a I think at this point may even be considered to people that are horror fans a trope.
Mm. Yeah,
Because in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, again, one of my favorite movies, they pull Nancy's mother through the tiny little window in the door, which
yeah,
really fucked with me because I was like, whoa, because it's a rubber doll, you can tell. But at the same
yeah.
time, it's like, but
Oh, I don't care about that. You can put the worst effects in it. Like I can get
yeah.
scared by a Muppet horror movie,
And then
right?
the other one was Jason X. So actually, it's funny because we're going to be talking about this in the next episode as well, because these are the scenes that have stuck with me. Because that in
Okay.
particular, Robin, you describing that, that's one of the scenes that like ripped the core out of me. Like things like that,
Uh,
when people just get ripped through something.
yeah.
Because of my body problems, like the mirror synesthesia and whatnot.
I think for me, it's like I picture whenever I see that, I picture it happening to me in a very visceral way.
Yeah, like, well,
It just, I,
that's the thing. That is what it is. Like, it is mirror synesthesia. It's basically like when you look at something, your body can experience a level of pain because of it.
right,
Not
right.
everybody has that, but it's pretty common. Like, the more I talk about it, I found out my friend Canis has it, Billy has it. I, I'm pretty sure that another one of my friend has like a mild version of it. But either way, it makes you like when you play video games, you end up like kind of moving and contorting your body as if you're fighting the boss. That kind of stuff. Yeah. It's hard not to it's hard not to be reactive to that, but I've because people have such little patience for me, I've learned to like dull it down so it's not so noticeable.
I get it. I mean, it comes out when I'm watching all kinds of movies. That sort of very visceral, very much like it's like I'm putting myself in the scene
Yeah.
in a way, which is what good movies do, which is what good horror movies do. Like they're
Yeah.
designed to do that.
It's like a
Uh,
level of empathy that
yeah,
isn't wanted.
no, 100%.
Yeah, it's like obviously this isn't really happening. It's like when I watch fail videos, I can't anymore. I can't watch fail
Uh,
videos because like if somebody falls on their neck, I'm like I can't do it. Like no,
yeah,
it's not happening.
yeah,
I don't care if they're fine. I want to see it.
yeah. Like you think you're fine, but in 10 years, that's gonna come back to haunt you.
Yeah, and what's even worse is when you watch videos of people getting hurt and their friends laugh at them. I want to punch
Mm,
all of them in the face. Like
yeah,
what the
yeah.
heck? It's your friend. Don't laugh.
I have friends who laugh when I get hurt.
There's different types of hurt that's funny. You know what I mean? Like you fall down on some ice, okay, that's funny. You
Yeah,
fucking try to jump across like a ravine and you don't make it and you like slam your head off of something and you're bleeding and then your friends are making fun of you. It's like go yeah, they're not your friends.
no, no. Or at least in the moment, they're not being your friends is the
Yeah.
issue.
Well, even still, sometimes you gotta the pack mentality. But yeah, we were going to talk about the best and the worst on the next episode, but then we've changed it to what stuck with us the most. You're not much of a horror movie watcher,
Well,
like
actually,
the
do you?
news.
This is on my list that I compiled for this episode. Um, there's a movie that I saw a few years ago at the film festival, the Halifax Film Festival,
Hmm.
and it's now. I think you can stream it now. I don't know what on. I don't want to like list any services or anything, uh, unless they're gonna pay us to advertise. But there was this movie that I saw, a very in weird movie called Titan, and
Oh,
it's
you
not.
told me about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to
it's not.
watch it.
You should. It's not at its core a horror movie by any means,
No,
but
but
there's a lot of horrific things in it. There are also some very, I was going to say funny, but they're things that you feel bad laughing at, but they're made in a way that they're designed to make you laugh, you know?
Well, when you
Um,
describe that movie to me, it sounds like it is probably on the cusp of being a horror, for
it's
sure.
definitely on the cusp. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it kind of, it kind of treads the same line in a way that like Midsummer treads in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
That
It's
inner discomfort. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like an inner horror, and there is a lot of body horror in it too. And that's so one of there's a couple of scenes that are very body horror, like very much straight into body horror.
Mm-hmm.
I won't describe all of them, but and this is such a small thing. It's not even the craziest part of this movie. But there's a scene where a character, I won't say who and I won't say why, has to break their own nose.
Nice.
Like they have to smash their nose against the sink to break it.
Yeah.
And I was in the theater watching it, and I couldn't. I almost had to leave at that point.
That kind of stuff, I can watch it. I don't know what it is, but face stuff is not so bad. But like
Okay.
eyeball gouging can't. You know what? Even then, it's not as bad. I don't know why, but
I can't do face. I can't do teeth, nose. Well, I
yeah,
have my nose. Let's not talk about that. But
yeah.
yeah, no. It just that to me is the worst of the
Hmm.
worst when it comes to body. Just as far as personal reactions to something go,
Yeah.
right? Especially where, and you don't see this as often, but you do see it sometimes. Actually, this was a big thing in the Saw movies. It's something that do sometimes see. I find it works better in a movie where it only happens once or twice
Hmm.
as a very important scene to give it emphasis, which is where a character has to hurt themselves permanently in order to do like to get out of a trap or
Like
solve
in the
some kind of.
first Saw movie, yeah, when he had cut
Yeah,
his foot
but
off.
In Saw, it's sort of like the that's kind of what Saw is.
Hmm.
Whereas in this movie, this person has to do into 10. This character has to do this thing in order to solve a problem, and it
Oh
only
yeah.
happens once. But it's like
Now
because
their
it only
bodies
happens.
changed forever because of this one. Yeah. And then of course the other version is well, have you seen Shogun yet?
No,
Well, there is a scene like that in it. Um,
ugh,
just to give you a warning.
fair.
I don't know if it's in the first or second episode, but they did a really fucking good job with it. It's brutal as hell, but they did a good job. Like, I love it when they make something look real. Like, I don't mean like look like, oh, that person could be real that's being torn apart. I'm talking
Yeah,
about the decision making, the conversations around it, the way that
yeah, when
they're
it feels
capturing the feelings that this person's having and why they're doing this stuff. That's so good. They did a really good job in Shogun for that.
interesting. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been meaning to check it out. It's on my list. I just haven't. I've been busy and haven't had a chance to.
It's 1,000% a Robin show. You'll love it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check it. Yeah,
It's very good.
yeah. I'll move it up the list to be closer to the top.
Not horror,
Uh,
but good.
no, still, I mean, you know what? You can put horror into a non-horror setting and make it work,
Yep.
right? Which is like again, body horror is a good example. You see that in a lot of things that aren't themselves in any way horror movies, but it still triggers that same sort of response. It still gets the same emotional
Yeah. Well,
resonance.
I like when I get the same feeling from a movie as I do from like horror artwork, you know?
Yeah,
Like horror artwork
that's fair.
that's done really well. Like sure Geiger, but there are a lot of other artists. I can't remember the Japanese artist.
Talking about Junji Ito.
Yeah, so like that kind of stuff, you can really feel the horror coming off of it. And like the way that the artist must have felt when they made the pieces. That's the kind of
Yeah,
stuff I want to fall into. Well, I've already started, as you've seen. But that's the kind of stuff I've been wanting to make in like large scale sculptures and things like that because the whole point of it is to bring this emotion to people and this like
yeah,
heavy, deep, connected feeling that everybody experiences, but none of us express in the same way. And
yeah,
I like to see that translated into a moving picture. Oh my God, I sound
yeah.
100 years
I
old.
think Junji Ito is really. Yeah. You know what, I've been putting off because I know they did the Netflix thing with Junji Ito's work, and I've heard mixed reviews of
Hmm.
adaptations. I think so far the best you're gonna get is his actual drawn, like his mangas and stuff.
Hmm.
Because that's where the thing I think with Ito is that I don't know. No one correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
yeah, I heard that he has this. So he has, as far as I know, he has a fear of cats, and that sometimes appears not so much in his work, but I
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
I think he has a very good way of depicting things that are incredibly mundane and turning them
Hmm.
into really visceral horror. Like set piece horror, like
Yeah.
really terrifying scenes that you can get into, which is
Well,
yeah, that
I think a lot of artists, like, ultimately that's what they want to do, but they never ever have the ability to do it fully because they're limited on time or materials or whatever, or it's their job and they kind of have to make something happen every so often, even if it's not completed. That
yeah,
kind of stuff, and that really sucks. So it's nice when you see an artist that's actually able to execute all of that stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, you got to kind of have the vision in your mind, and
Well, yeah, but you and me are artists. We have visions in our minds, but we don't always have the time, ability, or materials to get that fully created, right? So it's
yeah,
nice,
no,
nice to
you're right.
appreciate the work of people that can.
Yeah,
If you have something else to say, you can say it. I just have a question for you.
go for it.
I'm wondering, because I'm kind of conflicted on this, because real life horror is still horror, um,
Mm.
but at the same time, I don't like horror movies because they're real. I like horror movies because they're creative and artistic and lots of layers and really fun to watch and fun to make fun of, even if they're crappy. Speaking of which, you should watch The Greasy Strangler. It's excellent and hilarious and definitely a you movie. It's definitely one of those movies that I hate watching it because it's like slimy and I hate slimy stuff, but whatever. Um, like the excess slime gore crap. It's cool and I like the effects, but if it's too much, I just like, ugh, gross. Um,
Yeah.
so I think about movies like Wolf Creek as horror movies, but they're real
Mm.
movies, right?
Well,
They're
they're
movies
thrillers.
about real things.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because Wolf Creek is
Um,
about a real serial killer in Australia.
I mean, it's hard for me to talk about things like that because, as we've discussed, I tend to be a bit of a fantasist. So most of the stuff that I've really interacted with has been fantasy or in some way completely fictional rather
Hmm.
than, based on a true story, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But I definitely get how that as an element on its own can add a different layer of horror to something,
yeah.
the fact that it's based on a true story almost. It's a horror slash thriller in a
So
way,
you
even if
you
it's not.
would still consider it part of the horror genre, is what you're saying?
I think so. I think a lot of what defines horror is kind of how you interact with something in a
Yeah.
way.
In a way, or like the feelings it invokes. Like if it invokes fear, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Because it's not like they're meant to make you feel good and comfortable.
No. Well,
Even
you know what?
Goosebumps wouldn't do that.
No. Well, you know what? Actually, there's a lot of movies that are like that I can think of that are not because they're based on true events, but they're not meant to be severe. Like, okay, let's talk about Evil Dead for a minute.
Okay.
We all know Evil Dead is it's definitely horror. It's got
Mhm.
horror in its bones. It's a collection of horrific things occurring. Uh, it's also a dark comedy,
Yeah.
right?
Even though it wasn't
Um,
intended to be,
it
which is
wasn't,
why
but
they made the second one.
exactly also was a bit of a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But there are still even then things that stick with me as horror, like the scene of the woman in the basement, the guy's wife in the basement.
Hmm.
Scenes that when you're watching them, you might be laughing along to the movie, but when that scene comes up, you forget that you were laughing a second ago.
Hmm.
You forget you're now in horror mode,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
and I
what a
think
good
that
horror movie.
horror comedies are definitely still horrors to me. Like
Yeah.
Dale and Tucker. You've seen that, right?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so good. And it's a perfect example of being like, okay, this is a horror movie, but it's actually just a movie about people being idiots.
Yeah. 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 No, 100%.
And Cabin Fever as well. Like, it's not really a horror movie, but it is a movie about people being a bunch of weirdos.
Yes. And as a result of that,
It becomes a horror movie. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Also,
Well, I
Cabin
mean,
Fever, a fucking terrible movie, but I love it. Pancakes.
again, I interacted with it. Yeah, no, I interacted with it in a visceral way. So it's like do you, okay, another one on that list, the old school, I think this was from Resident Evil, the old school Resident Evil movie, like the first Resident Evil movie with
Hmm.
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
Um, there's a scene in that movie where it's near the beginning when the team is going to enter the facility, and the traps they
One of
encounter.
my favorite. one of my favorite segments of any movie actually is the grid.
Yeah, yeah, that's I have that on my list. So
Yeah.
that scene always messed me up because
Yeah.
part of the horror from that too was not even necessarily the body horror of them getting chopped up, but there was a point in that scene. It was I think it was the pacing because there was a point in that scene where what's her name? Like you to get to the point where you think you've beat it and you haven't, and then it
Yeah.
gets you,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
point like you can see the moment of like, haha, I've defeated this trap, and then like the face drop when you know, oh, I'm dead.
But yeah, oh fuck. Yeah. Or like I really liked the team in the first movie because they had like the right amount of people in it. And they
Yeah.
all had their specific like things that they were gonna take care of and deal with and all that. So like when the other the goon lady, I can't remember her name, but she's in everything. And she's like, "Oh, the blood. It's like thick. The blood is coagulated. They're dead." And it's like, "Oh my God. No one ever fucking puts that in anything. Nobody's ever
No, no,
like, "Oh, they're not alive because their blood is coming out like molasses."
yeah, exactly. Oh, that was good. That was good. Yeah, yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, I like that stuff when they actually think ahead and like put it in the movie, especially where, and that's another thing I struggle with is it's hard for me to think of Resident Evil as a horror movie because it's based on a horror game, but that still makes it a horror movie and part of the horror genre. But for some
Yeah, I
reason,
mean,
I struggle to like think other people will feel that way.
I agree. It's a weird. It can be difficult to adapt something that is horror from one medium to another and
Hmm.
keep it horror. And I think
True.
that's part of the problem with some of the Junji Ito stuff. Like it's amazing horror manga, but if you're gonna
Hmm.
make a Junji Ito horror show or movie, I think you kind of need to I think you need a different story than the ones he's put
Yeah,
to
has to be
into.
original.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of that visceral stuff. And again, okay, this I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. So I haven't seen Final Destination.
You haven't seen
I haven't
any
seen
of them? Oh my
no. I
God.
have,
Is it because you know that you'll never be able to
okay,
drive a car ever again?
don't be the comment section. All right, I don't need this right now. Um,
I mean, it was
no,
a triggering movie for like everyone I know. So,
well, the reason I bring it up is because even if you haven't seen it, like me, you still know about the log scene,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Everyone knows the log scene,
yep.
and even though I've not seen the movie, every time I'm behind a log truck or
Yeah.
something, it
There's a
it's
there's a scene in it before no, it's obviously after so the log scene is actually from the second Final Destination movie. In the first movie, it's the airplane, right? But in the first movie, there's a scene in it that I really liked, and it was very educational for me, and it reminded me of Aliens 3, I think. I can't remember the Aliens 3 or Aliens 2 that this happened, but basically they use the law of like freezing, heating up and freezing something and having it explode.
oh yeah,
And it
yeah.
was really interesting. So basically, the teacher, or yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you, Robin, if you want to
I
watch it, or do you think you're good?
well, I don't really care about spoilers. I can still get into something if it's
I'm the
told.
same. Like people can tell me, describe the whole movie to me, I'm gonna forget everything you said. And if I
I'm
do
gonna
remember anything, I'm gonna have a different version of it in my mind than what I'm gonna
no
see.
matter, no matter what you say, I'm still gonna be in the moment when I'm watching it.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter.
exactly. And I of course know people that if you give them even a whiff of a spoiler, they don't even want to watch the movie anymore. First of all, I
That's
think
why
they're
we
a bunch of pansies, but
no, like, well, that's why we had to. That's why we put the heads up in the intro.
disclaimer.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
So there's this scene where basically the whole thing with the airplane happens, and then all the students get off the plane, and then the plane explodes, and they're like, "Oh God!" Now they're all fucked up and like stressed out because this guy predicted the future, and they're like, "This is some bullshit that we have to process. Like, what the hell?" So the teacher goes home and she makes a tea. So she makes a tea, her cup is really hot, and she's like, you can tell that she's panicking, like pacing around her house, and she's like, fuck this, and pours her tea out and grabs her vodka from the freezer and
right.
fills her cup with the vodka.
Okay, I
And
can
then the
see where this.
cup, because it was hot and now it's freezing, explodes. And then the moisture, it's crazy. This is I love this stuff. So I do love the Final Destination movies for the creativity of the deaths because so good, so good. I've only actually seen the first two. I didn't watch any after that, but whatever, kill me. Um, so she her so the liquid comes out of the cup because it's exploding, and it goes in her
Yeah.
computer. So her computer explodes, and then a little tiny piece of metal from her computer cuts her jugular, and then she fucking dies. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's yeah. That could have
Like,
gone in a couple of different ways, and it's yeah.
well,
That's
this is what I
funny. That's
like. It's like you don't know what's actually going to happen, but it's always a
no.
chain, some kind of crazy chain reaction. Yeah.
The idea of like messing around with little sort of scientific artifacts of like interactions between things and chemical reactions and physical reactions, and turning them into these drastic plot driving things is fun to play with. It's really fun to play with. Do you know what? I think one of the things that kept me from watching it, because it's not that I haven't watched it because I don't think I it's a good movie by any means, or a good series by any means. I think what's kept me from it is the sort of psychological my inability to separate myself from that sort of psychological horror again, which always gets to me no matter what.
Hmm.
Like no matter how good or bad it is, I'm gonna get in there and it'll stick with me if it's compelling in any way.
Yeah. And it's funny that I'm not so annoyed by the psychological ones. There's always like the supernatural element of people losing their mind, totally different in my opinion. I actually sometimes hate those movies if they get too crazy. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil?
No, I've not.
It's really good. There's some really amazing scenes in it, and I think that you should watch it.
Yeah, well,
I just have one criticism, and it's that the end is like, what the fuck has happened? It's like a fucking cocktail of nonsense, and I have no clue what the fuck. And the movie was awesome up until the very end. It won't ruin the movie for you. It's still gonna be an excellent movie. But it's the
yeah,
only criticism I really have. I think, especially the guy that's the main character, he's in a lot of stuff, and he's great. He's great in everything.
all
He
right.
played the polka dot man in the new Suicide Squad movie.
See, I haven't seen that one. I haven't. I've been out of the superhero loop for a while.
They're all the fucking same anyway, but I didn't say
I
that.
mean, yeah,
Every time I
it's
watch
kind of
one, I'm like, oh, they just replaced Steve Rogers with Chris Pratt. Like,
sometimes I agree.
yeah.
It's not that I'm sure because I haven't even seen the Endgame movies. I kind of stopped after, like, I watched Age of Ultron in the
Hmm.
Marvel thing, and then I kind of just enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy the movies when I'm watching them, but I just kind of like didn't have the motivation to.
Like, they're not good movies. Like, they're good because they're movies that aren't like garbage, but like, it's like back in the 90s when they had all those like sitcoms, teenage movies, football, cheerleading, like it's like that, right?
Yeah.
It's just easy to consume for youth audiences.
It's almost like white noise at this point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like I can't really like again. I don't want to criticize them as interesting pieces of media because again, I can watch one and get into it, but I just don't. I don't know. I just don't have the energy to bother picking one up at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you watch one, you've watched all of them, in my opinion.
agree. Yeah, that's fair. I talking. It's just talking about psychological horror. And this, what I'm about to say, this is probably gonna. There's gonna be some big spoilers in for anyone that hasn't seen it. If you've not seen the movie Below and you want to see it, don't
Mm.
cover your ears. Um, so there's a movie made. I forget when it was. You know what? I'm actually going to look it up right now because it's an older flick.
I don't think I've seen it, but you can spoil it for me.
I've told you about it multiple times, and I'm
Okay.
glad you forgot. Um,
I will forget every time. I'll remember your
it was
birthday
actually
and I'll remember your favorite color. Probably not, but
let me see if I can find it. Yeah, 2002. So takes place on a submarine during World War II, and there's this. So it takes place on this U.S. like a Navy submarine, and they rescue a bunch of like German like survivors from a German ship. So obviously, it's one of those movies that has a lot of like tension,
Mhm.
right? On top of that, a lot of weird, mysterious stuff sort of starts happening. Obviously, there's a lot of like mechanical failures and things, and the movie implies that it's very supernatural, but at the same time, they leave it open, and you don't know whether it's supernatural or just the fact that submarines are garbage and you should never get in a submarine because there's always things going wrong with them
Well,
all the time.
plus I I've heard some things about submarines in the last couple years that make me not trust them, like the one that was
Yeah,
crushed. Anyway.
yeah, there was that. There was that. So it's this kind of thing where you're what this is what I mean when I say this. When I talk about psychological horror, this is usually the movie that I'm thinking of because these characters are trying to survive on this sub, and there's this implication that something evil is occurring, like something evil is causing these things, something is causing these issues to happen, and they're like, issues that can doom, like the sub could explode, or machines are failing, and a machine fails on a submarine, you're out of luck, you're underwater, there's no.
Yeah.
They play it as like you never know if it's supernatural, and the thing that always got to me at the end of this movie was, so here's the spoiler: you never find out, you never know whether it was supernatural or not.
Oh,
um, but at the end of the movie, when the characters are finally, or the remaining characters are finally saved by, I think it's a crew of like a U.S. Navy ship or whatever,
I like that. Yeah.
it was amazing. It's an
There
amazing
is a
movie.
couple movies that where that happens. I'm like annoyed. There's another movie called Lovely Molly, which I think you wouldn't hate. Um,
I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it.
yeah, it's very much on the lines of like movies that give you that uncomfortable feeling inside, like kind of like spooky, paranoid stuff. But you're never sure if she's mentally ill or if it is supernatural. And I really like movies like that.
I like
Um,
that, and I like when the ending doesn't like give you an answer.
Yeah, well, it depends because sometimes I get really mad, and I'm like,
That's
what was the point of the fucking movie if you're not gonna explain this? But movies like Lovely Molly and I'm sure I can think of more like The Witch. I liked that at the end it was a little bit ominous, but at the same time they did kind of tell you that the witches are taking over. But it seems kind of more like this young teenage girl has gone crazy, right?
Yeah, they play. It's very. It could be either throughout the movie. It could be either way.
Yeah. And then you're
Very,
not totally sure why exactly they were exiled from their community. Anyway, I do kind of like that they leave those little mysteries in there because they're kind of interesting mysteries and they let the viewer connect their own stories together. But
you
at
know
this,
what movie was kind of like
some movies are very bad at that.
that? I agree. Do you know what movie was kind of like that to me? I mean, there was horror for other reasons, but Midsommar
Yeah.
had a lot of elements like that because, I mean, obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, Midsommar is based on Norse sort of, not mythology necessarily, but like
God worship
um,
type thing.
connections. Well, not even really, like connections in religious
Hmm.
ideas. And I'm not qualified to comment on how accurately they represented anything, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of things in that movie that very obviously were planned out, but there's a lot of things that happened in favor of the plot that you go like, was that planned out, or was there some sort of weird divine or magical thing happening there? Like, it's hard, and
Yeah.
again, they never really go into it, which in
Well,
that case worked well.
plus it's supposed to be kind of connected to the other movie.
Hereditary, yeah.
Yeah, which, oh my God, I really liked that one. That was the first movie I had seen since I was, I don't know, early 20s, maybe,
Yes.
that actually got me. Like, there were scenes, and first of all, I love, I can't remember her name, but the woman who plays the mom, I love her in everything. She's so good. She's such a good actor. And
Yeah.
I think she's really good at executing that, like, frustrated with everybody, like, no, listen to me, kind of like she's really good at that stuff. I really
Yeah.
like it. And one of her earlier roles, she plays somebody with multiple personalities. So seeing her flip on and off is like, she's really good at that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, those scenes in that movie really got me in the gut. And then when I saw Midsummer, I was like, okay, yep.
Midsummer was one of those ones. So Midsummer is one of those ones that, because I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about comedy in a way, because Midsummer kind of laughs along with you up
It does.
until the very moment that it does not. We all know what scene that is.
This scene,
Um,
okay, these movies will all be coming up on the next episode because the scene that got me in Midsummer the most, you'd think
mm,
it would be the fire, but it wasn't. It was before the
right.
fire and leading up to the fire. It was when dude was trying to take pictures of the book.
The necropants scene, yes. Yes.
Necropants, is that what you? Yeah, that's fucking the dude wearing Buddy's skin walks in the room and just
Yeah.
stands there and he
What
thinks
is
it's his friend and it's
it?
like,
I
oh
don't want
my
to say,
God.
yeah, I don't want to say it's necessarily a real thing in that it was done in, because I don't, again, I don't know, but that does come directly out of some myths and legends surrounding the Norse pagan religious
Well,
milieu.
plus, I think the whole idea, like, I don't want to get into it right now, but the whole idea is like, okay, we're going to steal the essence of these people who horribly disrespected our culture and religion, and we were going to kill them anyway, but now we can kill them faster and use their skin. And then
Yeah.
the symbolism of using their skin is that they still need to have those visuals for their sacrifice. So then they
Yes.
stuffed them with straw. And that,
What's weird?
seeing that
Yeah,
part, seeing the skin husk stuffed with straw, oh my God, that really fucked with me. It
massively.
really
And they
made
did
me
it
feel uncomfortable. But what an excellently executed scene.
Yeah, I agree. That scene would have got me scared, except that because I knew about the necropants thing, I was like, "Oh my god, necropants! I know what that is." But I'm trying to think about the scenes that got me. I think, I mean, obviously the blood eagle scene
Yeah,
hit me hard because that's one that always freaked me out because
yeah,
that is something that was done. Obviously, the it was made like in real life you're not going to stay alive as the character as long as the character did in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is another one of those scenes that kind of like makes you go, is there something supernatural happening here? Because
Hmm.
you know, but yeah, no, that was the scene that was probably the one that got me the hardest from that movie.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. And I'm never good with the Blood Eagle scenes anyway because of the synesthesia, but they're bad in particular because there's just something about the fact that humans get something out of hurting each other that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
fucks my head up because I don't understand it. So when I see it in movies and portrayed in movies, I'm like, I get it. This is a depiction of an evil person. But I'm like, but people are really fucking like this. And that's
yeah, you're right.
terrifying. And they've been like this since the
Yeah,
beginning of humanity. And oh,
yeah,
gross. Yeah.
yeah.
Now we use
No,
psychological torture, and it's far more effective.
yeah. I mean, in a way, it's all psychological, but at the same time, like good. I feel like a good movie makes you layer those things in yourself.
It does, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like when they can keep those gaps in the movie in the right spots and over the right things, over the right details, that is what makes it exciting for the viewer because you can connect your own dots and create your own narrative and create your own story, and then like insert yourself in these stories as well, and be like, if I was the heroine in this movie, this is what I would do, or if I was the idiot guy, this is what I would do. Like I like
Yeah,
that some films give you the room to do that while also being very full as a film. Like that's just good directing, good writing, good acting, etc.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I suppose we're almost out of time, but was there anything else you wanted to say?
The only two things that I wanted to mention in the context of things that stuck with me were, and I guess we won't have time to talk about it too much.
Well,
There
but
was the
we're
scene.
going
There
to
was
be covering it in the next episode anyway.
yeah, for sure. Well, there was the scene, and we can bring these two up specifically. There was a scene in the ring where she comes up the TV, that whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, that made me terrified of TV static for many years. And then here's another
It
one
was
that
Outer
has to do
Limits
with
that did that for me.
oh that would do it. That would do it too. There was another thing that got me when I was young, and again, it wouldn't get me nowadays because it's just hilarious. But when I was young, I watched it. I was forced to watch it by adults. The the movie Leprechaun
Yeah.
with there was a scene where in the I think it was the first one where he just tears a guy's face off.
Yeah. Or didn't he boil his face off?
Maybe I don't remember. I was 10. I was 10 when I
Yeah.
watched it, and I have since because I
He
just
goes
can't.
into a bar and grabs like this milk steamer and like
Yeah, that
puts the
makes
guy's face in the steamer and it like
oh
melts
man,
off. Yeah.
even though it's like hilarious, it is objectively funny at this
Well,
point.
the
But
scene I remember the most from the Leprechaun is when he cuts the guy's stomach open and a bunch of coins fall out.
oh, that was a good one. Yeah. I you know what? I that didn't get me so much because when I see someone's stomach cut open and I see the guts fall out, that always gets me. So the coins was kind of a relief, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, so many movies have like gut yeah, we'll go over all this next time. But yeah, because I'm now I'm like I gotta make my list again, so I'll refine my list and then we'll have some good ones to talk about. Because I'll have to condense mine. There's definitely more than an hour worth of shit on there.
Those last
Yeah.
two, the reason I wanted to mention them so much was because they are when I think of horror movies, because I watched those when I was so young, those two last scenes really just I don't know, they just
Yeah.
stuck with me, even though they're not necessarily that scary,
Hmm.
right? So
But I
yeah,
mean, they stay in the back of your mind because it's like, oh shit, that happened. And like not there isn't really any other genres that do that to people. I feel like thrillers and horrors are kind of they own that a little bit. Like there's a lot of movies you watch and you're just like, oof.
although yeah, they do it to. They don't do it to me. I mean, horror movies do it to me. Thrillers don't so much. But I mean, I know people that are. I think they get that out of thrillers. Like for them, that's what gets them. That in a
What?
way
No,
the horror movies.
I mean, I don't think you really get that from other genres other than like the horror thriller genres.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like I never feel like, oh, this happened in this action movie and I've never been able to stop thinking about it. Like that never happens to me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like there's
Yeah,
different things in those movies that stick with you, but it's for totally different reasons.
I agree.
Mhm.
There, I'm sure some people do have those things stick with them, but it feels like a lot of those things aren't meant to do that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, so we were going to talk about what exactly about horror it is that we appreciate individually. I know for me, it's definitely the levels of what is involved in horrible stuff because it's definitely outside of the realm of what most people think. And I think it's a lot of horror is based on, I don't want to use the word romanticizing, but like almost being like, okay, people totally think these fucked up, crazy things. Imagine if they actually did them. Obviously, there's
Yeah,
people in the world that do them, but horror movies take it to the next level and they become supernatural and things like that. And I really like how they do that to really, I don't know, dive deep into certain subjects sometimes. I mean, most horror movies have some kind of crazy repression, psychological nonsense message in them. And I really like
yeah,
the story and the depth in a lot of horror and how creative you can be with
yeah.
it.
That's fair. I think one of the things that I tend to like the most is when I can really watch a movie and see that even though it's dark and scary, like people are having a good time.
Hmm.
You can kind of tell when the director and when the actors really enjoyed making a movie versus when it was something that was just like a studio script.
Or a cash grab.
Um,
Hmm.
or cash grab. Well, I'm thinking back to old. I don't know if you've ever watched like Brain Dead and all that kind of stuff, but they had so much fun making those movies.
Hmm.
And a lot of them are like they're comedy horror. They're still horror because it's a lot of body horror. But
I consider
uh,
comedy horror because
yeah, yeah,
it's all the same kind of nonsense. Like Freaked is one of my
absolutely.
favorite comedy
Yeah,
horrors.
yeah, no, absolutely. And we did. I know we did talk about that, but it's one of those things that people can sometimes, like that's not really horror, but
Hmm.
the horror
Oh well.
elements are there. But yeah,
Yeah, but this is our podcast, so.
that's true. Good point. Good point. And actually, that's another thing is to bring that up is when comedy is done in a way that is funny and makes me laugh, but doesn't take away from the horror. That's
Yeah.
something I really appreciate.
That's when you know
Um,
they put a lot of effort into making the writing and everything go together smoothly and
yeah,
keep the people watching not only interested but kind of involved a little bit, because you're part of the
yeah,
joke too.
exactly. Like Brain Dead was very much kind of splatter gore
Hmm.
kind of comedy. I spoke earlier about Evil Dead. That was a good
Yeah.
one. But even movies like Midsommar, which we also talked about, have humor in them in a way that is not. It doesn't. It
Well,
seems like
like
it's part of the setting. It seems like it fits.
look at Reanimator and all them.
Yeah.
All of them, like they're not, they're just so extra. It's like they're
Yes.
not meant to be funny, but it's so everything is so extra the whole time
Yeah.
that you can't not like laugh and snicker and be like, oh my god, the whole
Yeah.
time you're
Well,
watching it.
and you know what? That's kind of part of what I mean when I talk about
Hmm.
people enjoying making their art. That's what I
Yeah,
like. I like it when I can see that. I like it when
yeah.
that comes through.
It's like you can
Right?
feel the excitement as you're watching the movie. You can like
Yeah.
that's what I was saying before is like the thing about films and books and all this stuff, comics, animations. It's all a team. Like it's a whole
Yeah.
team of people. There might be one asshole being like, "I'm gonna tell everybody what to do," but guess what? He still
Yeah.
depends on the capabilities and the workmanship of everybody around him and how they
Yeah. No.
collaborate with each other, and him, her, whatever.
100%.
But yeah, like the fact that it's a team and it's kind of like you're having a little party with the people while you're watching the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 100%. No. I love that.
Hmm.
That's the kind of feeling I like
Or
when I'm
consuming
watching.
I because we're not only going to be talking about movies, so
Mm.
there's lots of stuff that is horrible.
Yeah. Horror movie in general. Yes.
Yeah, I think that all that stuff, like especially when you can tell the chemistry. between maybe the director and the
Mm.
actors, or between the actors themselves, and not just that, but their relation to the set and the environment and the everything. You can really tell when you had a good team working on that movie. Like there's some
Big
real
time.
masterpieces out there. Um,
I mean, I don't want to come off as being super pretentious in the way that because when I talk about a lot of these big sort of studio films kind of falling flat for me, it's not because they're mainstream in any way or something like that. It's usually because it wasn't made. A lot of these things aren't made with the intention of making art. They're made for profit, which
yeah.
again is not necessarily bad. You can make fine art that way, like not good, like good enough art that way. But it's when you can see it in the finished product that kind of makes it fall flat.
Hmm.
How I feel about it. Yeah, Dead Alive. Dead Alive is a Peter Jackson.
I'm gonna put that.
Um, oh, he also did Frighteners. I did not realize that he did the Frighteners.
Ooh.
The Frighteners was. Have you seen the Frighteners?
I actually don't know if it sounds familiar. I feel like I can visualize the cover of it, but if I have seen it, it's been a long time. Frighters?
It's pretty. It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, I wrote frightens.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
very. I think there was some stuff in some of the scary movies that were based on it, and
did I tell you the
um,
what the movie was that I saw on Thursday? It was a mystery movie.
no, no, you didn't.
Okay, Propeller invited me to see a movie, and it was a mystery showing.
Yeah, I remember you said.
And he squeezed me
Yeah.
in, and it was The Hitcher, and I hadn't seen it before, so it was great. I was actually planning on watching it.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was like, oh,
yeah.
thank God, because he tried to like, he was like, listen, if it's not for you, it's not for you. He's like, but it is hands down my absolute favorite film of all time. He's like, and
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just it just
nice.
means so much. Like he just gave this like little intro speech. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this better be a good movie.
That's amazing.
Anyway, it was good.
Oh
I
man.
agree with him. Like just delicious. It was so good. And like Brecker's eyes, like in the sunshine, it's just you can't match that visual in the old 80s quality film.
No. There's definitely something to it that like, and you can't replicate it either, despite many people
Hmm.
having tried to do so.
Although Antrim,
Um,
I watched a movie recently called Antrim, and it was like it's a movie
oh, yeah.
made I think 2 years ago, but it looks like it was done in the 70s, and they do a pretty good job, but definitely not 80s quality.
No, there are ways to replicate aspects of some of those old movies, but you're never going to get the atmosphere just right.
No,
You
no,
got to kind of
exactly.
figure out what it is that you want to replicate and replicate that.
Oh my God. Remember that drafting table you helped me put together, Robin? It's finally
Yes.
starting to try and fall apart. It was like 12 years ago.
Well, at least it lasted that long.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
I do like. I mean, obviously, when you watch horror with a friend, there's always the trauma bonding experience, which is fun.
Yeah.
Um, but also, like even bad horror movies. We talked about the Nun earlier, and that feeling of just being like watching something with my eyes closed and jumping at something.
Hmm.
That's what I think. I mean, I don't know. That feeling is something that is hard to describe. I don't want to describe it as the feeling of being scared because it's not really being scared. It's kind of like I don't
Um,
know. It's like
yeah, like fear is the closest word to use, but it's a sensation of like it's like you're being tickled with fear. It's
yeah,
hard to
yeah. That's a good.
explain.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
Well,
tickle. It's like a muscle spasm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like fear is something very like you're exercising your fear muscle in a way rather than
Yeah. Because like
getting really legit.
I love horror movies and I've always loved them and they're my favorite genre and they probably always will be. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I love my sci-fi and my fantasy, but
Oh, I'm also.
I often struggle to appreciate them in the same way as I appreciate horror. With fantasy and sci-fi, like you're watching and it's cool, it's visually stunning, like there's a lot of interesting things happening. That's true, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's really deep, and occasionally it really takes me. Like I really like
Mm.
Legend. That's definitely my go-to for the perfect fantasy film. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
other people want a little more excitement going on, but I think they just did such an amazing job, and they really have the feel of magic in it.
Yeah.
But if that movie was a horror movie, I would love it
Mm,
so much more, and I would have so much more
yeah,
fun watching it, and I would have so much more fun
yeah,
showing it to people. There's just something about the depth that horror brings because there is always, like you said, there's always some comical element. There's always some
mm,
serious element. There's always some
yeah,
psychological element. There's always some political element. I feel like horror movies are so unique in that way that they can kind of amalgamate almost any combination of things together and make it work and still be a really funny, great experience for any
yeah.
horror fan. Yeah,
Well, it's hard to put horror into like we have horror as a category, but obviously,
yeah, it's kind of
you
diverse.
know, a lot of most. I mean, honestly, most movies are a mix of a little bit of everything. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time is Interview with the Vampire,
Hmm.
and it's not really horror, but it is also horror. You
Because
know,
there's
I
vampires. Yeah,
mean, well, there's vampires, but also there are elements of real. I mean, there's a lot of body horror in that movie.
yeah, there is.
Um, and there are there's a couple jump scares, but not like really gratuitous jump scares, you know.
Hmm.
So it is in a way horror, but it's also
Art.
not, you know, art. Yeah, it's art, which means it's part got some horror, it's got some drama, it's got some fantasy, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I just like. I mean, you remember watching oh my gosh, Dark Night Watchers and Day Watcher, or Night Watch and Day Watch,
Yes,
right? So
yeah, very much.
those are on the cusp of like horror fantasy, right?
Mm. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
of all
agreed.
that stuff. I think they did a great. I think personally, I think they did an amazing job.
Mhm.
I think they did an amazing job with the dubbing, even. Like I think it's just such a
Yeah.
great double feature. And
Mhm.
they're two of my favorite movies. I love showing them to people, even though they're all dubbed. But it's it's like you I don't know. I just feel like you can put so many more elements in something if it's a little bit on the horror side, or you can fit
Yeah.
so many different messages in like something as long as it's on the cusp of that horror range.
I mean, you can make anything very.
Maybe it's because of the rating, and then you can fit more in because of the rating. But I don't know. Just like in my consumption of film, because as you know, I watch everything.
Yeah.
Um, I would I have to say like I just don't see it the same from the other avenues. Like horror is definitely the one that keeps me seeing more creativity over and over again.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you can turn something scary that wouldn't normally be scary. You can make something mundane scary.
Yeah.
You know, you can make something that's absolutely fantastical scary, and you can make. There's also fear in things that are unknown. If you can just like a something something Lovecraftian, the
Hmm.
most of the horror in Lovecraft is just a fear of the unknown,
Yeah.
right? You never get any answers. You know,
No,
it's fear of the unknown, right?
and if you want answers, well, you probably don't want them when you get
Exactly.
them. So, with the
Exactly.
Lovecraft stuff, well, just like a lot of horror, I guess,
Mm.
especially Tales from the Crypt, Wishmaster stuff. It's like, if you're a curious person, enjoy being dead. Like that's horror movies for you.
Yeah, very much, very much, 100%.
Oh, are you really
I
good
think
at
that should be the tagline.
investigating
I think
things? Well, enjoy
honestly,
being tormented by a serial killer for the rest of your life. Like,
that should be the tagline of the podcast. Honestly, if you're curious, enjoy being dead.
yeah, yeah. Also, it's a beautiful day out, other than the wind. It's very windy, but it's beautiful. Just the sun is out and
Yeah,
it's warm, and my flowers have all started to pop open. Um,
yeah, I read earlier. Yeah, I think that's. Do you have anything else you want to add? I think that's what we got.
yeah, I think
Uh,
that's about it. If you want to end it there, that's totally fine with me.
all right. Well, you can find me at Bear Iron Eye on YouTube or on Blue Sky as well. I will see you guys next episode.
Yeah, and I'm just Twisted Bunny Fine Arts. You can pretty much find me anywhere. All right, have a great day, guys. Thanks for listening.